Okay, so now we have all our chord forms. The next step would be to start to put these together. How do we take one chord form, get to the next chord form? I don't know of a lot of songs where we're just going to play one chord the whole time. I'm sure there are songs out there like that, but it might get a little bit repetitive. So we need to know, how do we move from one chord to the next? So for this first example here, what we'll just do is we're going to do two chords, and we'll do two chords that keep some fingers in the same place. That's one of the things we're looking for. Do some fingers move? Do some stay in the same place? And if some fingers stay in the same place, well, let's keep them there. So we've done our chord diagrams. We've learned the C and the A minor, so that's two of the chords we're going to use for this first example here. So we have the C chord. Third finger, third fret, fifth string. Second finger, second fret, fourth string. Open, third string, first finger, first fret on the second string. Open, first string. We're going to take this chord and we're going to go down to an A minor chord, which was first fret, second string, second fret, third finger, third string, second fret, second finger, fourth string, and then an open fifth string and an open first string. So we want to switch from one chord to the next. Starting with the C, the first thing we're going to look for is, when we're going to this A minor, do we have any similarities between the chords? And looking at the chord diagram, or actually just making the chord, we can see that, hey, we need the second finger on the second fret of the fourth string for both chords. We also need the first finger on the first fret of the second string for both chords. So that tells me the only thing that has to change is my third finger here, which makes this a really good chord to start your switching on, or these two chords, because two things can stay the same, only one thing has to move. So let's go ahead. What we're going to do is we're going to strum 4 times on the C chord. We're going to lift up our third finger, keep the other two fingers in the same place, go ahead and put it down on the second fret of the third string to make A minor. Strum 4 more times. Let's try that one more time. We're going to start with C, so we'll bring our third finger back up to the third fret on the fifth string. Keep fingers 1 and 2 in the same spot. They don't have to go anywhere. We're going to strum 4 times, then we're going to bring that third finger down, and we're going to strum 4 times on the A minor. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go back to C. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now, what happens when we have chords that don't necessarily have fingers that stay in the same place, but they might have other similarities? So we're going to take a progression right now. We're going to use G, C, and D. So we'll start with G. As we know, second finger, third fret, sixth string, first finger, second fret, fifth string, open fourth string, open third string, third finger is going to go on the third fret of the second string, and finally we're going to have our pinky on the third fret of the first string. Now we're going to switch to a C chord. First thing we want to do is say, well, we know what the C chord is, we know where our fingers go. Is anything staying the same? And in this case, no. Nothing is the same. So we actually have to move each finger. So we're going to strum this G chord, but then we have to lift all our fingers up hop over to C. This might feel a little challenging at first. So if it is, what you want to do, don't worry about strumming right now. Just move the chords. When things get a little tough, the best thing to do is simplify. If we have 5 elements that we need to worry about, take a few of those away, just concentrate at one at a time. Right now we just have 2 elements. We have our strumming and our fretting. So let's just worry about the fretting right now. So we had that original chord, the G chord. And we need to swing down to the C chord. So what's going to happen? Third finger is going to jump up, go to the 3rd fret. Second finger is going to go to the 2nd fret, 4th string. First finger is going to come down onto this 1st fret, 2nd string. Now, the best way to go about doing this is repetition. The more you do it, the more muscle memory you're going to get. And the more muscle memory you have, the easier it becomes. Next thing you know, you don't have to think about it. It's kind of like if you were writing your name. Right now, when you write your name, you probably don't have to think about how you write your name. But when you were first starting out, you probably had to carefully think about how to make each letter and how to fit them together. But after a while, your hand remembers the motion you have to make, and it just does it like nobody's business. The same is with chords. The more we get used to changing from one chord to the next, the easier it becomes. Pretty soon, our hands are doing it almost on their own. So it might be a little tricky at first if we have chords that don't have two common or any common fingerings. But the reality of it is a lot of times you are going to run into chords that don't have common fingerings. So we need to get used to jumping from one to the next. So to carry on this chord progression then, we went from C, we're going to go to D. C to D, which is the same principle. There are not common fingers in this one. So we again have to get used to just switching from chord to chord. So we're not going to worry about stretching it right now. We're going to get used to just going from chord to chord. When we get back to going to the G chord at the end again, now we notice that we do have a common finger again. And that will be this 3rd finger, can stay in the same place. So we're not going to move it. All we're going to do is put our pinky down. 1st and 2nd fingers, going to come up top. 2nd finger going to fall into place on the 3rd fret of the 6th string. 1st finger is going to fall into place on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. So what it comes down to is just bounce between the chords and get used to making that change. And if you can, look for common fingers. If there's common fingers that stay in the same spot in each chord, leave them there. They don't have to go anywhere. But if there's not common fingers, that's when we're going to have to take the time to think about how are we moving, where are we going, which fingers have to go where. And that's a good way to start practicing switching between chords.